And welcome back, students who are taking financial accounting. This is the series of videos for the Chapter 2 short exercise problems. And we had left off on problem 12, so let's pick up with number 13 here. Okay, it says here, to the left, the account listed on the trial balance indicate the financial statement that will include the account. Income statement, statement of retained earnings, or the balance sheet. So if you have been watching any of the other assigned homework problems, or especially the theory videos, you'll see that I had, and I'm just going to briefly cover this, assets is equal to liabilities plus equity, so those category of accounts end up on the balance sheet. You have revenues less your expenses, okay, gives you a profit or loss. So the revenues less expenses show up on your income statement. And for your retained earnings, you're taking the net income or loss and you're adding that to the beginning retained earnings. Then you're subtracting out your dividends, okay, to get your ending retained earnings. So the dividends ends up on your retained earnings account, statement of retained earnings. So now when you're looking at a trial balance, if you created the trial balance correctly, your accounts are listed in order by category. So you have assets, liabilities, equity, revenue, and then expenses, right? So, trying to determine which statement, obviously, these are on the balance sheet and these are on the income statement, and then your dividends is on retained earnings. So if you go down through these accounts, you can go down here and you come down to equity where you have common stock, okay? That's common stock is equity. So anything from cash down to common stock, right, is on your balance sheet. Then your next account is dividends, and like I said, the dividends shows up on your retained earnings, okay? And then anything below that is on your income statement, okay? Because you have revenues and expenses. So assets are here, liabilities are here, and equity is here. They're on your balance sheet. Your retained earnings, you have dividends, okay? And then you have revenues and expenses, on your income statement, all right? Simple as that. All right, next problem here, it says accounting has its own vocabulary and basic relationships. Match the accounting terms at the left with the corresponding phrase at the right. Okay. All right, so since these are one word and these are a bunch of words, I like to use the bunch of words first and match the opposite way. Okay, so I'm going to start out here with the chronological record of transactions. Well, when I have transactions, what do I do with the transactions? I put them in a journal. So as the transactions occur in time, okay, they get entered into that journal. So a chronological, which is time, record of transactions goes in a journal. So this here is an asset. Let's see here. Which one of these would be an asset? Okay, receivable would be an asset because it's something we own. Right, so that's B. Left side of an account. The definition of left side of an account is a debit, so that's C. Side of an account where increases are recorded. Right? And this one's a little bit more difficult, but remember the relationship. We have a category of account, right? That's assets, liabilities, equities, revenues, and expenses. And what increases, and that's why I use the plus sign as a symbol for what increases, that category is called the normal balance, right? So this here says the side of an account where increases are recorded. So that would be D, D would be a normal balance. So that's number 2 here. Now notice it says side of an account, okay? It doesn't tell you whether it's a debit or credit, okay? It all depends upon the category, whether it's a debit or a credit. There's that relationship. We know that increasing is the normal balance, but it depends upon the category as to whether it's a debit or it's a credit. And of course, since the normal balance is an increase, a decrease is just the opposite. So if you know one side, you know the other side. It's just the opposite. Okay. Let's see here. Copying data from the journal to the ledger. Okay, remember when we post from the journal to the ledger, all we're doing is rearranging the information into like accounts. Okay, that's posting from the journal to the ledger. A list of all accounts with their balances. Okay, a list of all accounts with their balances is a trial balance. Okay, and the difference between that and number 6, which is the chart of accounts, well, it says here a list of all accounts of a business. So that would be H for the chart of accounts. Remember, the chart of accounts is a listing of all the accounts in the business, the general ledger accounts. That's H. But it doesn't have the balances. So the trial balance is a listing of all the accounts, all right, plus their balances. So the trial balance can be derived from the chart of accounts. Remember, you think about the chart of accounts more as a table of contents, okay, of the books of accounting for a business. Whereas the trial balance is that table of contents, but it also includes the balances in those ledger accounts. Okay, and then let's see here. So we skipped over G, which was a liability. So a payable, wherever you see the word payable, you know that's a liability. All right, so that's G. And then the right side of an account is a credit. All right, so that's I. Right? So that's it. We're done with this exercise, and we're done with all of the short exercises. As always, you know, you're assigned to read the material in the book. So read the material. I know that I'm covering a lot of the things again and again and again, and it's taken up some time. So going forward, I'm going to try to do less and less of that and just try to answer the questions. So when you're assigned the material in the book, and that's everything that you're supposed to learn. The videos are supplemental, all right? So when I create the theory videos, I think that it's beneficial to watch the theory videos, all right? Because it presents information differently, but by no means is it a replacement for what's in the textbook. For example, in the textbook it says, to make a journal entry, here's a 5-step process. Okay. Well, yeah, in the theory videos, I show a different way of thinking, a different thought process. It ends up, arriving at the same conclusion, the same exact journal entry, but it presents it in a different fashion. What is the process I go through, and it makes it easier for me to make journal entries when I don't know how. But don't just watch the theory videos thinking that you're getting all the information from the textbook. You're not. You're assigned the material in the textbook. Read and study that. The theory videos, it's good to watch to reinforce, give some insight, experience, a different way of thinking to that text material. All right. So definitely watch all of the theory videos. But when it comes to the homework problems, okay, you work through the problem first. And if you get the answer that's in the solution, then you don't need to watch the video. Because you arrived at the answer. If you don't get the answer, then try to figure out why you missed it. Okay? And if you figure it out, then you still don't need to watch the video. But if you don't figure it out, then watch the video to see how I work through the problem. Now, I'm not going to repeat all of the theory, but the portions of theory that apply to that particular problem, if I think it's relevant, I will actually go over some of that theory again as it applies to that particular problem in order to be able to help you through it. So that's why watching the theory videos and understanding the stuff in the textbook, when it comes to the problem, it gives you the knowledge that you need to be able to solve that, work with that solution, that particular situation. So if you miss the problem, don't understand how it arrived at, and you watch the video, most likely it's going to click into place. If it doesn't, watch the video again and then go back and watch some theory videos if you need to. But if you still don't get it, then feel free to telephone and speak with an instructor or email us by clicking on the Contact Us button from your My Courses page. Okay? So, I'm working on these problems for Chapter 2, and I'm finding that I'm taking, even though it says, oh, it takes 10 to 15 minutes to do this particular question, I am spending a little bit more time than I'd like to. and because I am being repetitive, like I'm right now, okay, I'm being repetitive. So I'm going to be in the future trying to cut some of that out and just more or less answer the problem, answer the questions, give my insights, but not really cover so much theory because I've probably already covered it in the theory videos. If I think it's applicable, I'll add it in, but I'm going to be trying to cut back on that a little bit less and less. Like for example, in these problems, this exercise that you're looking at on the screen, okay? I explained the chart of accounts and the trial balance. Well, I've already explained that, I know, 3 times before, so I don't really need to do it for each and every situation, okay? So with that said, I will see you all for the exercises and the Group B problems for Chapter 2 in the next series of videos.